Okay, so we have a special request today from Dragon OG. Thanks for the donation, homie. Now, his question is, what is the significance, if any, behind the number 23? So before we go into any of that, let's break down the mathematics. Now, when we see 23, 2 is a number of the moon, 3 is a number of Jupiter. The moon is all about reactions. Jupiter is all about expansion. We understand that what motivates our reactions is based on the things that we have programmed within our subconscious mind. In order to expand those reactions that we have programmed within our subconscious mind, we need some type of arrow, because we know Jupiter resonates with the zodiac sign of Sagittarius, and the symbol of Sagittarius is the arrow. So the penetration or the expansion of the arrow being shot into the moon will have an influence on our reactions because it is able to penetrate the subconscious mind. The flaming arrow going into the mind can wake up the third eye so that you can explore what's going on within you, things that you don't think about, things that you don't see, and things that you may feel but don't understand. It is the arrow of the Sagittarius that's able to penetrate deep into those reactions. You explore and you clear out anything that may be holding you back. Taking it a step further, the 23rd letter of the alphabet is W. When we take it to supreme alphabet, W is the number of wisdom. When we take it to the supreme mathematics, the number 2 is also the number of wisdom, and the number 3 resonates with understanding. When we add 2 plus 3, we get 5, which is a number of power. Number 5 is also the planet Mercury, which represents thought, communication, and connections. So when we put all this together, we have wisdom, understanding, power. To be wise in your understanding enables one to control their power. We all have power. We all have potential. But what we are seeking to do with our potential, what we are seeking to do with our wisdom and understanding is to enable ourselves to explore our power that we know is already within us. We all feel it. But it takes one who is wise. To be wise, you have to have wisdom. You gain wisdom from experience, personal experience. You can also hear someone else's personal experience and gain wisdom from them. So you either gaining wisdom from somebody else who has personal experience, or you're gaining wisdom from your own personal experience. And as you begin to gain wisdom, it will start to formulate and to build the foundation of your understanding, which is your own personal perspective of life. So we use wisdom gained and gathered from our personal experiences and other people's personal experience, and we put it all together, which will help to formulate the way we perceive the world. And based on how we perceive the world will enable us to either tap into our infinite potential or to not understand it, and it actually starts to, in a sense, I wouldn't say be used against us, but when we don't understand who we are, we will start to walk down a road that we don't want to walk down, because it's nothing down this road, because it's like walking in ignorance. It's like walking down the street and you have your eyes closed. You don't know what's going to happen. But that wisdom helps you to understand what's going on around you and how do you fit into what's going on around you. How do you fit into the environment that you're in? Now, let me give you some facts about the number 23 before we go a step further, just to give a wider perspective of what everything, because this number is kind of an interesting number. It's a number of discord. It's a number of Aries, because there's a whole spiritual system revolving around the number 23. They either call themselves the 2030ians or the Discordians or Discordianism, meaning discord and chaos are the building blocks of life. That is their understanding. Now, going a step further, the Knights Templar had 23 Grand Masters. Going a step further, the 23rd Psalms goes as follows. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lay down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Right? That's a very popular psalm. Also, the religion of Discordianism is defined as a joke disguised as a religion, disguised as a joke. Now, if you didn't get that, let me actually write that down. So they call the number 23 a joke disguised as a religion, disguised as a joke. Now, if you can comprehend what that means, because it has a surface meaning and it has an esoteric meaning, you will begin to see a little further. Lastly, of course, we know about September 11th, 2001, the attack on the trade centers, the World Trade Center in New York. If you add up 9/11/2001, you get the number 23. Now, as I said, the number 23 is a number of Aries. E-R-I-S, or Eris. Okay, Eris. That sounds a little bit better. Eris, it's the goddess Eris. Let's look up how she looks. Now, if we see the goddess Eris, we see that her main symbol is the golden apple. In most of these pictures, you see that she holds a golden apple. She also has a real dark essence about her, as we can see. So I'm just giving y'all various images of what she looks like. We know that the apple represents the forbidden fruit. This is why Eris represents discord. It represents chaos. It represents destruction. However, these are all illusions. Order and chaos are both illusions. And it is for us to look beyond the illusion to see the true reality. So on the surface, you look at something like this. It looks like the return of the undead. For those who are into the Necronomicon, we know that the great old ones, such as Cthulhu, represents the return of the great old ones and is going to destroy the earth and all that. Once Cthulhu wakes up from his slumber, it's on and popping. It's like the return of zombies. Anybody who played games like Resident Evil, of course, there's plenty of shows that the undead or the immortals rise again from their graves. They come back from death. They wake up from their slumbers and they come wreak havoc on the physical world, just doing whatever. This is why it is considered the number of discord. Now, going back to the golden apple, when we take it back to the Bible, we know that, of course, they were not supposed to eat from the tree of knowledge. They can eat from anywhere else except the tree of knowledge, because if they ate from the tree of knowledge, it would give them what? Knowledge of good and evil. And it will make them like the gods and the goddesses, the angels, whatever you want to call them. But let's look at that. The tree of knowledge. You will know the difference, or you will know good and bad, or order and chaos. So when they ate the forbidden fruit, they knew about order and chaos. Now, we know that Eve was tempted by the serpent. We know that the serpent, depending on how you look at it, it can be a positive or negative attribute. Some say the serpent actually gave them the truth. The serpent was God in disguise, whereas the God that told them not to eat was really, you can say, the devil. Again, this is all allegory, because there's two creators in Genesis, for those who may not know. And again, do your research if you don't understand what I'm talking about. So you can say the serpent put Eve up on game. Or you can say the serpent misled Eve. And Eve misled Adam. And that, from that discord, they were put out of the Garden of Eden. But what is the Garden of Eden? Was it a prison? Or was it a paradise? You know, I will leave that for the listeners to come to their own understanding of what they feel that is. So again, we're just looking at various images of Aries, or not Aries, Eris, because it's just so easy to get those gods mixed up. Aries is the god of war, or like the god of Aries. You know, the zodiac sign, or the house, or the constellation. Then you have Eris. So I apologize for getting those words mixed up. But Eris. So you see some of these imageries, such as this. Let me go here. You see that she has this golden hair, and she looks more like Aphrodite. Then others, as we go up, she has a darker imagery. So this is what I mean. It all depends on how one chooses to look at it. Because some people, again, look at discord and chaos as the building blocks of life. Why would they look at discord and chaos as the building blocks of life? Because if you get too comfortable, you lose touch with reality. So you can say the Garden of Eden had them out of touch with the real reality. And once they were cast out of the Garden of Eden, they woke up to the real reality, which was earth, right? So again, there's various ways to look at the number 23. So we see it has a dark and a sinister feel to it. You can also see, I made the video yesterday about Taurus, and I talked about Babylon. Let's type in Babylon and let's see what we get. Babylon. We see, there's various correlations here. Let's click on this one. So you see she has a real darkish, sinister feel. You see that on her forehead. Let me zoom in. That she has the crescent on her crown. She has a grail of blood, roses. You see all this? It's pretty erotic, dark imagery. I showed you this photo yesterday in the Taurus of the Lust card and the Crowley deck, or the Thoth deck. So we see the correlation here. So you see, you can say she can represent discord and chaos. Most people will look at things like this and not feel very comfortable doing something like this. They look at this as devil worship or something that is anti-religious. Actually, let me go back. I saw this. See what this is. Click on this. So, we see Babylon, of course, in the book of Revelations, rides the great beast. So we see the number 23. Here's the seal of Babylon. Zoom that in. So you see the 777. See Babylon here. So, for those who are drawn to this, the darker sides of life, the subconscious, tapping into Babylon, tapping into Eris. You can draw these seals. You can connect with that deity, however you choose to connect with these deities. But this is definitely a gateway. The number 23 is a gateway into deeper mysteries. Also, July 23rd is the rising of Sirius. July 23rd, you will actually be able to see Sirius in the sky. So there's another correlation with the number 23 in its connection with Sirius. And again, if you don't know about Sirius, I made a video called Portal, Manifestation, and Dimension Traveling, something like that. And you can watch that video if you choose. So lastly, without going too deep, this is more like an introduction for those who want to dig deeper into the mysteries and who are not afraid of the darkness or the discord. Also, for those who understand gangs, Bloods represent the number 5. Also, the People's Nation go by 5 principles of life for those who may understand that way of life. So, just stroll down these images so you can see it's a pretty dark vibe here. But it connects with a certain type of person. And again, you see that the crescent is above her head. So you see that the moon has a very powerful connection with this type of energy, this whole dark medieval energy, and bats in the background, candle magic. You know what I mean? This whole vibe. It's like the moon. Of course, again, we see roses, which you can say is Jupiter. Jupiter can also be represented by the candles. So again, you see this significance and you see this connection between the moon and Jupiter. And it's a gateway to darker, deeper mysteries for those who have a strong mind. Because if you don't have a strong mind, you can get lost. But if you have a strong enough mind to tame the imagery, you have to be able to tame the imagery and not get lost within the imagery. So this will be the last one. So again, these are different artistic depictions of this energy. And of course, Eris has wings. Sometimes she has wings on her feet. You see she's holding a serpent. Let's see. Once again. So I think I proved my point here. And again, you see that crescent moon once again with the flames, the Jupiter and the moon connection. And you see the serpent is right by the Vesica Pisces, if y'all know what that is. And the Holy Grail, once again, is at the top. So, this was a special request, again, from Dragon OG. Thank you once again. And we out. Peace. and chaos.